Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to tell you the story of a tea garden in northern Bangladesh, in the remotest, one of the remotest parts of that country. But before I tell the story of the garden, I'll say a couple of things about my family, because it is a family-owned enterprise. And at the end, when I come back to what some of our learnings are from this enterprise, it will connect to what I've said about our business in general, or businesses in general. Our businesses were started by my father in 1979. And then around 2000, me and my brothers were entering the business one by one. And at that time, we kind of sat around together as a family and asked ourselves, what is the purpose of business for us? Apart from growing it, making more money, what keeps us interested? And this dialogue was very important as the next generation came in, because we really felt like we needed to find projects and purpose that would keep us motivated. And I know earlier today there were some comments about the pluses and minuses of family business, so I thought I should bring out this dimension of my experience. We were very lucky to have a father who saw the importance or relevance of this dialogue and really allowed it to happen in a very open way. And what we felt was that me and my brothers, we really wanted to see business connected in a very explicit and innovative way to social purpose. So from 2000 onwards, we actually got out of certain businesses for strategic business reasons, or also because they were not connecting so well to the way we were formulating our purpose now. And all the new businesses we went into, to different degrees, were sort of seen through this prism and responding to it. In the Bangladesh context, our first definition of what it means to have social purpose is to invest and reinvest in the country with an eye towards creating jobs, and a lot of them. So this tea garden is in the northernmost district, Panchgarh, which is also one of the poorest. We also started a jute factory there, which was the largest of its kind in the entire northern Bengal, in 16 districts there. Since then, it has triggered that industry in northern Bengal, and there's now 50 jute mills. And our own mill, we employ around 3,000 people now. At the same time, we started a retailing operation. We have 12 stores now and 6 more opening in the next 6 months, which employs over 1,000 people, most of them from the rural areas or small towns. So young people, mostly under 25 from there, have now been trained to work in fairly sophisticated urban setting. Also the university, which is a not-for-profit, and very much like the speaker from Ghana, Patrick, what he was saying, inspired by similar motivations. We wanted a new kind of thinking, learning to be introduced in society for future leaders who could continue transformation. But this kind of purpose for us sort of came together, I think, most vividly and comprehensively in our work with the tea garden. We were already in this district in the very north part of Bangladesh. If any of you come to visit from our garden on a clear day, certain days of the year, you can actually see the Himalayas. We're that far north, just 60 miles south of Darjeeling. We were already there from the mid-'80s with some of our other businesses. And we knew that across the border, right across the border, India was growing tea. But no one had thought to do this on the Bangladesh side. And there were maybe good reasons for it. These were the challenges that existed there. The land was not particularly fertile. Bangladesh is renowned for being a fertile alluvial land, but not the very northern part of the country. Parts of it are quite arid or not very fertile. And for that reason, the community there is not necessarily as fluent in farming processes as their counterparts throughout the rest of the country. And in particular, knowledge of how to grow tea didn't exist in that region, because all tea in Bangladesh is grown in the eastern part contiguous to Assam in India. And of course, markets. If you were to grow tea there, you can sell it locally, but the kind of expense you would incur in building a tea garden from scratch, just selling at normal local auction prices, might not be enough to have an attractive enough payback period. You would need to find a way to have a product that made sense and find markets where that product could go. So there were a lot of reasons why it might not take off. This is the first challenge, the land. This is what it looked like. Of course, I've picked some of the worst patches there for dramatic effect. Not all of the land was, this discouraging, but a lot of it was did look like this, literally. Land that looked like this. We've we've been able to grow tea on. Even where the land had a sort of green surface, you encountered sandy soil very quickly if you scratched the surface. So people were not doing farming. The land was fallow, a challenge which we immediately saw as an opportunity because it meant we could have a virgin organic tea garden, not a converted organic tea garden. Next, the people, like I said, were not skilled to grow tea. Third, markets. Bangladesh is not known for premium tea and is not a heavy exporter. When people think of premium tea around the world, they think Darjeeling, Assam, Ceylon. They don't think Bangladesh. Also, with a certain kind of growth that's happened there, most of the tea is now consumed at home. So whatever even non-premium exports it had in the 70s and 80s has steadily declined to the point of very little tea that's exported. So as we were facing these challenges, what we discovered also was that the solutions were interlinked. If we could solve the problem of land, it involved solving the problems of the people, and one solution led to opportunities in one of the other areas. To solve the land, we went the organic route, but we also went beyond organic. For example, most tea gardens around the world, all, in fact, as far as I know, mostly the shade trees are only 2 or 3 kinds of timber trees and often non-indigenous. We maintain a conservatory of over 250 kinds of plants, many rare or near extinct, which we've propagated heavily throughout the garden. And we use only herbal indigenous plants as shade trees. Neem trees alone, we've planted over 250,000. The other technologies we used, mulching, leguminous crops, creating water bodies for surface irrigation, everything very sustainable, which gave life back to the earth and created a whole ecosystem. Now the garden of 1,000 acres is seeing a real resurgence of wildlife. When we talk to farmers who are in their 70s now, they tell us that they're seeing birds they haven't seen since they were children. You see foxes, rabbits, snakes, and last month, for the first time, we sighted a pair of monkeys, all life forms that have not been in the area for the past 3, 4, 5 decades. So that kind of regeneration has been possible with these methods. This is what it looks like now. Thank you. The main challenge in making that place look like this was that we needed massive quantities of biofertilizer. We needed more than 1,000 tons of biofertilizer a year. And for that, we needed cow dung. So we created a dairy. We have 600 cattle in the dairy, and it still wasn't enough. And at the same time, we were doing other work with the community, for literacy, for hygiene, all sorts of things. All our workers get 2 hours paid time every week to learn to read and write. Young people in the community can come to a computer lab to get introduced to IT. We have a small park where kids can come and play. All this was happening. And we suddenly realized that as nice as all this was to do, and it wasn't cosmetic for us, it's something we've actually done there from the mid-'80s, even with our other businesses, we realized that finally there was an opportunity to actually engage with the community in a deeper way, because for the first time we could vividly see our needs and the community's needs really overlapping in an interesting way. So we said, we can't maintain a dairy of 3,000 cattle. That's not our expertise. We want to be a tea garden, not a dairy farm. So let the community rear the cattle. But where would they get it from? So we adapted the microcredit model. We give them the cattle, and they pay us back primarily in non-cash loans. They pay back in very small daily amounts of milk, 1 liter a day, and a certain amount of cow dung. It takes, on average, only 2 years to pay back, and they get to keep the calf, which doubles their asset overnight. So they're very happy to do that. We're getting the cow dung we need. They're really changing their lives. Some of the best performing members, they've gone on to 3, 4 cattle. Specific people, Fahima, whose house I've visited, she had a normal hut, very humble. Now she has concrete flooring, nice solid roof, clean stove, solar-powered energy. Her husband quit his job because this made more sense for them. He helps her do the cattle business now. They have 3-4 cattle. And it's not just one individual. Majority of them have had this kind of success. We have 1,200 members, over 1,800 cattle lent so far, and we want to keep growing. We need to go to 3,000 for at least 3,000 to 5,000 cattle to reach our ultimate size as a garden. And what we're trying to figure out now is how do we keep all of this growing even beyond the needs of the garden? And that'll be my final slide. We were also looking at, all this has been great. Now we have this tea. And like many entrepreneurs, we get carried away with the idea, and we can also be very naive. In 2000, we thought we're going to build this garden, and it's organic tea, and people are going to just come and demand that we give this to them, at a high price. And once we had tea in 2004 to sell, we wrote to buyers and brokers around the world, and no one wrote back. So 2005-06, me and my brother, who's in the audience, we started going to these tea fairs, and we talked to people and say, we have this amazing tea. People, tea experts in London have tasted and said that it has a unique flavor, it's so wonderful. And they'd say, okay, we'll give you $2 for kg. I can get $2 for kg in the Chittagong auction. And we needed a lot more than that to sustain all this. So, we kept going round and round, and then we said after 2 years, you know what? Let's brand it and sell it directly to the consumers who would appreciate the taste, the flavor of this tea, and the story that's behind it. And by buying the tea, they're supporting the work that's happening in the community. So we floated a brand internationally as well as at home. We went to Japan, we came to the US. We're selling in over 100 Whole Foods now and hope to go national in the next year or so. In England, we sell only in Harrods, but eventually we hope to sell in more stores in England as well. So the marketing was solved, and because we can sell this tea, we have profits, which allows the growth of the garden. Because the garden grows, the co-op has a justification to keep growing. If the co-op didn't grow, the garden couldn't grow. It's almost perfect synergy. So that's what we've been doing. And in terms of commitment to this kind of deep organics, going beyond certification requirements, not worrying about what the certifiers want. We keep innovating or inventing constantly. Our packaging is fully biodegradable, et cetera, et cetera. And we keep trying out new things. The one thing we're working with now is to see if we can run the factory on biogas plants. We already run, we have so much dairy, cattle, we have all this cow dung. So biogas plants were, of course, a natural offshoot of that, with which we do our cooking and the lighting. And this winter, we're putting in a biogas plant that's going to run the drier part of the factory and maybe someday the whole factory. If that happens, then we will have reached our dream of becoming the greenest garden in the world. So, thank you. What else we want to do is, what we've done so far is, a lot of fun. It's been really exciting. We're now really seeing some real success, even in terms of bottom line. But how do we grow? One is we want to see ourselves maybe extending the organic line. We are certified, and we can grow so many other products. We have these herbal products, so maybe go beyond tea. We want to grow the co-op beyond the needs of the garden. So we're putting in a chilling plant there now, so we can value add the milk and sell it to a wider market. And that way the co-op can keep growing even beyond the needs of the garden and how much cow dung it needs. We've already started a pilot program in the co-op to supply vegetable to our retailing chain. So our retail is the only one in the country with organic vegetables. So there's a lot of other pilots. We kind of innovate constantly at a pilot scale. And once we're convinced, we try to scale it up. And I think the co-op can grow to a much bigger size than it is now, operating in different districts and different categories. So that's what we are doing. And finally, coming back to the family business point, our father had built us a great foundation. Being second generation, one of my realizations is a lot of times people from the outside look at family businesses and think that entrepreneurship is something that happens with the first generation, and then the second and third generations either squander it away, or they sit on it, and they're so lucky that there's this thing that runs itself. In fact, even just having good management or management ideas or practices in the second generation isn't enough. If you're going to survive as a business, you need to be an entrepreneur as well. Second generation, third generation, unless you go public and go into a different kind of management, as long as it's in the family, if you really want to thrive, you have to be an entrepreneur. So that's what we are or trying to be, or that's where we get our real kick from, doing all these new things, new ideas, bringing new dimensions to the work. And also, another thing that occurs to me is, I've been on a lot of forums like this where I hear a lot of talk about what corporations can do, and everybody has a role to play, and the importance of SMEs. And I would emphasize the importance of family businesses, because actually an incredible amount of wealth around the world is still in the hands of family businesses. So if we leave them out of the development process, why leave that out? Let's tap into that resource as well. And I think family businesses, if they're smart, are going to start innovating in ways. For example, what we did was, to meet the needs of our business, we took the concept of microcredit and adapted it in a way that worked for us. When the idea of bottom of the pyramid was originated, the focus was from a marketing angle, like how do we sell, the famous stories of Unilever and their 1 rupee shampoo in India. We've basically looked at the bottom of the pyramid as a place where to do the production, not just to sell to them. So harnessing those ideas in the service of business. And if you don't do it, I think in this networked world, you're going to face limitations. And finally, I think convergence is a perfect term for what's happening in the world, especially in countries like Bangladesh. If we want to see development, we can't be in these silos. We can't be in business saying, we do business. These development guys, they do development, and the government does what the government does. It has to be, more and more people will start interloping into other areas. And in that synergy, I think, lies a lot of solutions. Thank you.